When we look for the darkest secret in medical history, we usually picture rusted surgical tools or the accidental use of deadly medicine. But the most disturbing medical practice wasn't a rogue experiment. It was a mainstream, highly expensive cure prescribed by the greatest doctors of the time. For hundreds of years, millions of people consumed this miracle cure without realizing the horrifying truth of what they were actually swallowing. Welcome to the Morbid Ledger. In the 16th and 17th centuries, European medicine was practically barbaric. If you had chronic pain, epilepsy, or even a nosebleed, your local apothecary would prescribe a brown, earthy powder. It was expensive, it was foul-tasting, but it was considered the ultimate panacea. They called it Mummia. And if that name sounds a little too close to the word mummy, well, there is a deeply unsettling reason for that. You see, this powder was exactly what it sounded like. European doctors were prescribing the ground-up remains of stolen Egyptian mummies. The medical logic was flawed, but genuine. They believed the bitumen and resins used in the mummification process contained mystical healing properties. So a massive black market erupted. Merchants began shipping thousands of looted mummies from the tombs of Egypt straight to the pharmacies of London and Paris. Kings, queens, and peasants alike were literally eating the dead. But here is where this dark history turns from bizarre into something truly terrifying. Eventually, the supply of ancient Egyptian mummies started to run out. But the massive public demand for Mummia did not. The merchants realized they couldn't just tell the sick that the cure was gone. So they decided to manufacture their own supply. The darkest secret of the apothecary trade began. If they couldn't dig up ancient royalty in Egypt, they would just dig up fresh bodies at home. Grave robbers were hired to raid local cemeteries. Criminals who had been executed were taken straight from the gallows to the grinding stone. The bodies were dried in ovens, mixed with herbs, and crushed. The sick were no longer eating ancient pharaohs, they were eating their own neighbours. This cannibalistic medicine wasn't just a fringe theory. It was championed by royalty. In the late 1600s, England's King Charles II had his own personal concoction. It was known as the King's Drops. He paid thousands of pounds for the recipe, which he personally brewed in his private laboratory. The main ingredient? Human skulls. Specifically, the skulls of men who had died violently, as they believed a sudden death trapped the life force inside the bone. They would crush the skulls into powder, mix it with alcohol, and drink it to cure everything from gout to depression. The concept was called Sympathetic Magic. The belief was that the human body itself was the ultimate pharmacy. If your head hurt, you consumed a head. If you were bleeding, you applied a paste made from human blood. They even used human fat as a topical ointment for muscle aches. For over 300 years, the medical establishment essentially forced humanity into medical cannibalism, completely blind to the ethical horrors. It wasn't until the late 18th and early 19th centuries that medical science began to favour actual biology over superstition. Doctors finally started questioning the efficacy of eating corpses. As the Enlightenment spread, the practice of corpse medicine finally became a taboo. The jars of Mummia were quietly pushed to the back of the apothecary shelves and eventually thrown away. The medical world buried its darkest secret. Today, you can still find remnants of this dark era sitting quietly in medical museums, jars labelled with human ingredients, a grim reminder of our past. It proves that sometimes the most terrifying monsters in history weren't hiding in the shadows. They were the ones writing the prescriptions. If you're fascinated by the twisted, forgotten corners of history, leave a like on this video and subscribe to the Morbid Ledger. We open a new page of history's darkest moments every single week. Until next time, stay curious and be careful what you swallow.